What is up, guys? It is Joe. We are back. We're talking about the Cats. We're talking ball, specifically about the transfer portal and one massive name in the portal visiting K-State. We've talked about him a little bit in the past, but Clifford Omoruyi, the senior center from Rutgers, is visiting K-State on Wednesday. First things first, that's incredible, and I'll give you all my thoughts and more about Big Cliff. But before I get into that, let me say a quick thank you for helping us get to 2,000 subs on the channel. It's been like 1 year, and we're already at this point, so I just want to say how blessed and appreciative I am of each and every one of you. I'll tell you a little bit more about that giveaway here in a day or two once I've had a little bit more time to collect my thoughts about hitting 2,000 and all the support on the channel. But guys, let's talk about Big Clifford Omoruyi. First things first, guys. Absolutely massive news break on a Monday. That's a heck of a news break on a Monday. Now, Clifford Omoruyi has been touring and checking out different schools. He's been linked to Georgetown, Alabama, but what we're here to talk about is Kansas State. Now, first things first, the addition of Clifford Omoruyi is a game-changing addition. This is an addition that takes your starting five to one of the best in the country, and they're still not done. There's more work to be done, but you look at the lineup. You think, okay, we have one of the best passing point guards and best scoring shot-creating point guards in the country in Doug McDaniel. Then you look down the roster, your two guard, you've got a young up-and-coming player in Data Ames. You've got C.J. Jones, who has shown the ability to get a triple-double on any given night. Then your three is Arthur Kaluma. I know it hasn't officially been said that he's back from the NBA draft or not, but K-State social media did post a little bit about Art. My theory's always been get three NBA players on the court in the starting lineup, and then the right depth pieces around them, and you can win a national title. That has always been the formula. Imagine what happens when we have five dudes that are all NBA players on the court at the same time. Now, let me get specifically to Clifford Omoruyi. I'm going to toss some highlights up here as we're talking. Now, when I heard the news, I was over the moon excited. I have been sitting here daydreaming about the possibility of Clifford Omoruyi teaming up with a guy like Doug McDaniel to run off a ball screen action where you have one of the best passing point guards in the country and a dude who has an exceptional floater game in Doug McDaniel. Cliff jumps out there, sets a screen, rolls to the basket, or even pick and pop mode. Like you've seen it in the past with K-State bigs, whether that be Jarrell Colbert, whether that be Will McNair. You've seen both dudes step out and shoot threes on a pick and pop situation. Even last year with Tyler Perry and Will McNair. You saw it with Jarrell Colbert taking long twos. This is a dude that can knock down those shots and more. Clifford Omoruyi's game, and if you haven't figured it out by this highlight by now, I'm not sure what to tell you. But Clifford Omoruyi's game passes both the eyes test and the numbers test. Clifford Omoruyi played in all 32 games as a senior, put up 10.4 points per game and 8.3 rebounds per game, as well as 2.9 blocks per game. The dude is a rim-running, shot-blocking, electric big on the low block. This is not your typical guy that, okay, you're going to clog up the lane, or okay, you're going to do XYZ thing for us. Clifford Omoruyi is a dude that, okay, today we're flipping a coin. Cliff, we're going to have you run out in transition. Okay, tomorrow we're going to have you post up the smaller guys. Cliff, today we're going to have you be the defensive weapon. Like, he has so many different facets to his game that complement the team around him. That's the beauty of what I'm talking about. Clifford Omoruyi, in case you missed it, is also like the one dude in the country to posterize Zach Edey. All 7'4". Clifford Omoruyi said, yeah, it's about 6'4" to me, buddy, and one on his head. That's the type of player Clifford Omoruyi can be. But it's not just a, okay, I'm an athlete, I'm going to jump up and dunk it over your head. It's not just a get me the ball on the low block, I'll back him down, score over the top of him. Cliff can do anything you ask him. It's the reason he's a top 10 player in the portal. It's the reason by now the kid's nearing the top of the entire available players. Clifford Omoruyi is a home run spot for any coaching staff, for any player to play alongside. And that's the beauty here. While Clifford Omoruyi is a stud in his own right, the beautiful thing about his fit with Kansas State is that he maximizes his NBA potential at Kansas State, as well as the potential to win a ton of games in the starting lineup. Kansas State has proven an ability to get guys to the NBA draft. I know it's only been 2 years of Coach Tank's tenure, but they've gotten guys to the league. Both Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson are going to be 10-plus year NBA guys. I mean, that's just the way it is. Keontae recently was one of the key contributors on the title team for the Oklahoma City Blue. And then Marquise had to deal with some injuries, but he's Marquise Noel. Guy's averaging a double-double on points and assists every game. That's the type of player that Kansas State can develop. So you look across the board. Clifford Omoruyi at Rutgers sometimes, and I'm not a big Rutgers guy. I don't know a lot about Rutgers, so I apologize if I'm showing some naiveness here. But Clifford Omoruyi was such a physical presence that a lot of times you had a guy cheating over the top of him and sitting behind him. So I'm not necessarily doubling, but at least bracketing would be the best way to say it. Kind of like, if you want to flip the script and talk about an NFL tight end, Travis Kelce gets bracketed all the time. That's basically what Cliff dealt with a lot at Rutgers. The beauty of that is that teams will not be able to do that to him at Kansas State. We are not done building this roster, but from the ground up, it is special. Doug McDaniel is an NBA point guard. You see his passing, you see his vision, you see his competitive spirit. Like, That's the thing that sometimes people don't add up. You can be an incredible player, but if you don't truly love the game, then it doesn't really amount to anything. Doug McDaniel is a dude that loves the game of basketball and loves competing. Coach Tang's talked about it. Coach Dowling's talked about it. Everybody that's talked about Doug McDaniel talks about his competitive spirit and his leadership. That's the point guard you want. CJ Jones is also an NBA upside type guy. Day-Day Ames will be there one day as well. I know he's young. That's the only reason I say one day. Arthur Kaluma is an NBA player. He is. Then you get a 4 that's potentially like Baba Miller from Florida State. I know that that's not set in stone or anything, but the kid would be a heck of a player as a wing, as a 3-4. And then Clifford Omoruyi as your 5. Cliff eats the lunch money of any big in the Big 12 Conference. One of my personal favorite parts of his game, how I think it would fit in incredible at K-State. Our defensive scheme is different than a lot of teams in the country. The bigs are asked to do a lot, but it doesn't come with a situation where they're put on an island, and if you fail, it's given up a bucket. That being said, Clifford Omoruyi is the perfect Jerome Tang basketball player at the center spot. The dude has a massive wingspan. He's a tall player with a huge vertical. He can really contest any shot on the court. One of my favorite plays he made was blocking the 3, basically blitzing the ball screen. I forget if it was against Georgetown or who it was off the top of my head. I don't have the highlights pulled up, but Cliff ran out, blitzed the ball screen action, took the guard and rerouted him, and then contested the 3 ball, blocked it, and then ran out and transitioned the other way. What's beautiful about that is that K-State, whether it's a great game or a bad game, the one thing that never leaves is our transition pressure. That's the beauty of Jerome Tang teams. You saw it with Cam Carter last season. You definitely saw it with Keontae Marquise and Naquan Talman Tang's first year. It is guys that want to give 100% effort on the defensive side of the glass, which results in quick runouts of different players going the other way, coast to coast for a dunk. That's the type of player Cliff can be at the 5. He's not one of those bigs that has kind of the goofy run or like a, I'm not coordinated enough to be in this situation. That's not Cliff. The dude is smooth and the game looks slow to him. Not like a slow player, but they say the great ones the game slows down for. That's who Clifford Omoruyi is. Coming out of high school in the class of 2020, Cliff was listed as a 4-star prospect by the 247 Sports Index, as well as the nation's 51st ranked player, the 12th ranked center, and the 5th ranked player in the state of New Jersey. He had a ton of different offers, a lot of great offers on this list, and went to Rutgers, spent the last 4 seasons there, and now is in the portal looking for a new home. And boys, let me tell you, that is Kansas State. This roster has a shot at developing 3, 4, 5 guys into NBA players this season. That's the incredible part. Arthur Kaluma has Big 12 Player of the Year potential. And if you're the Big 12 Player of the Year, that means you're the country's best player in most cases. Obviously, Zach Edey won the Wooden Award this year, but you saw how good of a chance Jamal Shead had at that. First team All Big 12, Big 12 Player of the Year. That's the qualifications that Arthur Kaluma has. Doug McDaniel, same thing. The beauty of Doug as a player, he is such a talented passer and he sees the court so well. Doug always knows where everybody's at on the court. That's what I've learned a lot about his game. The awesome part of Doug McDaniel's game, yes, he can go get you 20 points on any given night, but the best part is we are surrounding him with bucket getters, with physical specimens. Cliff falls into that category, with athletes and NBA players. And I like to use the argument, K-State likes to say dudes, we got dudes. I always talk about the NBA player thing because I really think that's the best way to see it. At Kansas State, what you've seen recently, this is a direct message to Clifford Omoruyi. You can get to the NBA from Kansas State. You can go win a national championship at Kansas State. You can win the Big 12 championship. And like I said, it's the best basketball conference in America. Jerome Tang said this himself. If you can win the Big 12, you can win a national championship. You've seen us go on deep tournament runs. You've seen people develop into NBA athletes, and there's going to be even more on top of that. As incredible as Clifford Omoruyi is as a player, and he's shown that every single year of college basketball, I think there is still another step he can take forward as a player. And that's not to say that he hasn't put it on display or done XYZ thing, but he has Bam Adebayo-like upside, where he can do anything on the court. He can go in transition and hit a 3 for you. That's something that you're not allowed to do with a lot of different programs. Coach Tang sets his bigs up to be an effective scorer, to be effective passers. Like, he can put on so many more things on display for NBA scouts. The Bam comparison really stands out to me when I look at Big Cliff. Bam has been able to be, he's a true 5. He's a talented 5. He can play like a 2. He can play a 2-guard role, bring the ball up the court, and do whatever you need. Clifford Omoruyi, I'm not saying he's going to do that every time, but Kansas State gives him the opportunity to show, hey, I can step out and shoot a 3. I can stretch the court. And the best part is he's going to feast over Big 12 centers. The next best center in the league, which I know I'm biased. I love Kansas State. I think Clifford Omoruyi steps into the best basketball conference in America and is the best center in the Big 12 conference. And if you're the best center in the Big 12 conference, you're going to have an argument for the best big man in the country. Clifford Omoruyi would be up there with a Hunter Dickinson. 2 very different players, and Cliff, I think, would eat his lunch money just taking him off the dribble, because while Hunter Dickinson is a physical specimen, he imposes his will, he doesn't really have any defense when it comes to fast, freakishly athletic players. And unfortunately for Dickinson, that is Clifford Omoruyi. Clifford Omoruyi puts up double-doubles in Manhattan and Lawrence in that game. This dude can step onto the court and be one of the best centers in Kansas State history. I will go as far to say that. But I leave it with this. I leave you all with a challenge. Cliff's coming to town on Wednesday. I pray that Clifford Omoruyi gets to feel or experience the love and the passion and everything awesome about Kansas State the same way I did, the same way that you all did. It's the reason we all have the same passion for this team in the middle of Kansas. Like, it's pretty dang cool to see us start a YouTube channel with 2,000 people, and we all feel the same way about our teams. There's thousands and thousands and millions more out there. I pray that Clifford Omoruyi experiences that. It's why when I got to Manhattan and I looked around, everybody was the nicest person I ever met. They, any conversation with people in Manhattan, you see how, okay, this place is infectious. I pray that he gets to experience what Manhattan feels like. There is a love, there's a beauty in the air in Manhattan. It's the happiest place on earth. People take that for granted till they get there. When you start talking to people, you say, wow, this dude is unbelievably nice to me, and I've never talked to the dude in my life. That happens. K-State is beautiful. It's the same reason that we all have so much passion for our college town, because we understand, like, hey, there's a true adoration. There's a respect among people. There's a love among people. And I'm not saying that other colleges don't have that, but no college in America is the same way Kansas State is. It's not just a college town. It is a home, and I pray it becomes the home for Clifford Omoruyi. Now, let me tell you this. If the kid's out and about with the coaching staff, why not go say what's up, man? Hey, dude, really excited to see you. Good luck with everything ahead. You don't have to go over and ruin their night by bothering them too much. But one of my favorite parts about Manhattan is meeting each and every one of you guys, meeting each and every one of the people that supports Kansas State. And I hope Clifford Omoruyi gets to experience that firsthand. I will update you guys as I hear more on this recruitment. But guys, once again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for 2,000 subs. I am praying each and every day that Big Cliff becomes Big Clifford, the Big Purple Cat. That's what we're hoping for, and we'll update you here soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Go Cats.